Hello, everybody. Welcome to our eighth artist talk. Um, if you've noticed, there was a little bit of 2 week delay for this one, but we're back at it. This talk is a little bit different than usual because we're talking to an artist, but we're not discussing their personal art in depth as much because um, there's an art competition that the Meta crew can participate in. And so with me today, I have Fractilians from the Creator Collective over on Twitter and Rarible. How's it going?
Awesome. Good. Thanks for having me here. It's great to be here.
And it's great having you on. It's actually good to see like members of the Metakey community like who have picked up the keys. Like slowly bring in projects for like the Meta crew. It's like essentially what like the whole utility and community building aspect of it, which is like the coolest thing to me. I was like, oh wow, I never expected this when like Metakey launched at all.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, for me, I'm such a huge like supporter of it. I think what they're doing is amazing, and I just really enjoy all the content as well that they create and how they educate their community, how they really help everybody, and what you're doing too is really just great. I love hearing people's story about creating art in general and sharing that process is awesome.
That's good to hear. We need more people like that in the space. um it's actually funny because a lot of like it's like this weird thing that's sort of evolved in the space where it's like this complete sort of rejection to like fine art stuff, and part of it's got like like, and I understand the rejection, but like the sad part that's gone out the window with it is just people talking about their art. And also like people who are listening, like they're not aware that you can ask artists questions and we will respond. We like to talk about our art. Please.
I'm not that great at talking about it, but it's always for me. It's just like it's all about like especially for years I was a teacher, and I love watching people's creation path and their because I get so inspired by it. That
Mm.
was the best thing. I felt like I had the best job in the world when I was a teacher and a silkscreen and digital arts because I get to play and learn because everyone uses tools different. So that's yeah. Anyway, I could go
Well,
on and on about that forever.
so quickly to those listening, what is your background in art? So like from us just talking over on Discord, you mentioned that you're a teacher and that you do silk screens and stuff. But like if you could like give a quick little recap of like Fractilians, the artist, is that every time I tell that to somebody, they take a pause and I'm like, is that like the band question of like what's your favorite band, and everybody's like, oh fuck, I can't.
Well, okay. I guess I started doing stuff in art and for like back in like now 30 years, I think. And like what really brought me, especially I guess
Mhm.
the silk screen and to me digital arts are like one. Like
Mhm.
I've always been fascinated by digital art and silk screen. You do a lot of the editing and processing on the computer in Photoshop, and then you get the best of both worlds. I love digital and analog.
Mm.
So like printing is like that satisfactory. I love getting messy ink and then you get to make your film positive. In you tend to go in Illustrator or in Photoshop and fine tune, but a lot of that art starts out as a sketch. I draw. I love pencil. I love the
Mm.
feel of paper, and then I love bringing it in and playing around with it. And then the best part, then you get to play even more with it, on paper. But like I guess my main like like I guess teacher of all time was back in San Francisco. I was artist. I mean, I was like a total dork, like lover of silkscreen, and they had like this. They still do. They have amazing silkscreen like workshops and just classes there. And
Mm.
back then, my teacher, he's actually passed since. His name is Michael Roman. He used to do stuff with like Keith Haring, and he did all of Carlos Santana's stuff, like
Oh
his
wow.
prints, his shirts, and he was my main teacher. And his way of printing, really like that's kind of what you see. Like the prints that I showed you are all stenciling and layering and like paper stencil cutouts and layers and. I basically have like 50 screens, and each screen I can use in infinite ways. It's kind of Photoshop analog style.
Oh wow.
So
I've as a person who's been interested into silk screening before, I actually never looked at it that way. Um, I but that's actually interesting that you can yeah, yeah, you are right. Holy cow. Wow.
it's fun, dude.
It
Like it's so addictive. Like
and
you can print basically. Okay, just to explain real quick.
mm,
Let's say you have something that you want to do multiple layers, you can print it on paper, cut it out. You print something first, you cover that image, and then you can do layers upon layers of really gorgeous. I'll send you some images of his work, Michael's. Oh my
Mm.
God, he's a master. His shit, I think you'd really like.
Please do.
Yeah, yeah,
Please do. I'm gonna share it with the Meta crew in our channel too, because people
awesome.
need to know. People need, like, it's actually, it's funny because like a lot of people, like, when they come into the space, um, they have like sort of one conception about like what the art in the space is gonna be, and a lot of people don't realize that in like the last 10 to 20, even like 30 years, even you can argue before that, like the art world has opened up to a lot of mediums. And
Yeah.
the coolest thing to me is what people don't realize is like a lot of these mediums still translate into the NFT space very well, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like
Totally.
for like silkscreen, it's like silkscreen has if you do it on a shirt, for example, it has a texture feel to it, right? And
Oh yeah.
while you might not be able to feel that with your hand, that texture still translates visually with a picture, right? And I'm just excited for like when people, like everybody from like all artistic medium realizes, oh, this still translates. Let's delve deep.
Yeah, and it's funny because like it kind of along the lines of what you're saying, like being a digital arts teacher and silkscreen, they're always kind of considered the black sheep of the art family. Like digital arts for years, I was always working in like fine art,
Hmm.
like visual arts centers as a digital teacher. It was always kind of like, oh, it's just digital arts, or even silkscreen. It was always considered, oh, it's just for t-shirts, and
Hmm.
it's not. Or maybe if I called it serigraph, that was the fancy term. It's a serigraph fine art print, and it had to be like serigraph fine art print, and then it'd be like, oh, so what
Yeah.
did you do? And I'm like, I make messes, and I have a ton of stencils and screens and inks, and yeah. So I miss having a studio. I haven't had a studio for a little while, but I used to have like, I've had a couple studios just to play, because you
Yeah.
really kind of need like mess making ability, and when I worked for many years, I worked at the Hui No Yao Visual Arts Center in Hawaii. I lived on Maui,
Oh wow.
and
God.
I taught silkscreen, and I actually worked for the STEM programs there, teaching digital media arts all over the island. I would get flown around and teach
What the?
workshops. It was awesome, dude. It was like
You.
so much fun.
So I was actually gonna. So I was gonna ask. I was gonna be like, hey, since you mentioned that Colorado and stuff, and I was gonna be like, how do you think like location impacts artists, especially like since you're part of the creator collective, and that's essentially like an internet that can be an international collective, right? And then
Oh, for sure.
now you just drop Hawaii, and I'm like, okay, shit, like you've had the views just to wake up and like draw inspiration, like, oh my god, Hawaii.
Oh yeah,
What the?
Maui's like, I was just there for a month recently. I went back to teach a claymation class for teens,
Oh,
and then
nice.
I was working from my regular job as well. So I also work for the lady who actually brought me into the NFT space. I do freelance for their nonprofit. So
Okay.
I did stuff there, and I did stuff at the Visual Arts Center, and then spent a lot of time mountain biking and hanging out at the beach.
Nice. Nice. We're here in Montreal, where at least I'm
Ooh.
located in Montreal, where the weather has been. I don't even know Canadian weather, honestly. It's weird. I would.
I've always wanted to go there. I wanted to go to Mutech like 20 years ago. Is that still going on there?
Mu Mutech. I don't even
It's
know
a
what that.
it's a electronic music festival. It
Mutech.
happened.
I don't
I
think
think it's still
so.
going on.
Maybe.
Really?
How
Okay.
do how
Maybe
do I
I'll,
spell it?
Mutek.
Mutek. All right.
I think that's what it was called. Maybe I'm just totally off. I bet you people in Montreal are gonna be like,
It is.
she's. It is still there.
Yeah, it's still going. 2020
It's a
is the last thing. September it happens usually, I believe.
Yeah. Montreal seems amazing though as a city. It
It's
looks so beautiful.
it's actually insane. It's like it's the weirdest layout for a city, right? Like you're walking one time, like one turn, you're in just normal, Quebec, architecture, and then one another turn, you're in downtown, like high-rise building, and then you turn a corner, and you're in like the middle of buttfuck France. like legitimately, where it's like the
Wow,
roads are like
that's awesome.
rock, like it's like where it's like they're the
Cobblestone,
yeah,
kind of like.
exactly. And then you look up and then it's like all French styled roofs, and then you look on the other side and like some of them are Western but not French style, and you're like, what the hell? And then the graffiti alone in the city is insane.
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah, is it like in Vancouver? I was there not that long, well, like couple, like 3 years ago, but the graffiti and the graph art there was so amazing.
well,
Maybe is it just big in Canada in general?
it is like, so the graffiti scene is pretty big in like the art in Montreal and in Toronto, and I imagine in Vancouver. But in Vancouver, were there like a lot of tags on like the outside of high-rise buildings?
There was just a lot of beautiful murals.
Oh, okay.
That's all I remember. Like
So
maybe there was other stuff, but I didn't, anyway.
so like Montreal has an insane like mural scene. Like they have a Leonard Cohen piece that's just like huge in the city on the side of a building, but then in turn they have like and like tagging groups that get outside of like factory walls, like high-rise factory walls, and tag the walls. And it's like you look at it and
Wow.
you're like, yo, you have to like must have hanged in there like some like Mission Impossible movie style shit, because it's huge. And it's yeah, Montreal is a place to visit for sure.
Yeah, I would. That reminded me of another thing I did in Hawaii that I total side thing, but she actually used to be my director of when I worked at the Hui no
Mm.
Iao. Her name's Kelly McHugh, and she runs this. You would probably love this. It's called Small Town Big Art. It's funded by the National Endowment of the Arts. It's this amazing community mural arts project
Mm.
that's with the Hawaiian culture. It's definitely something to dive into and look at. It's so beautiful, and I actually got to go and do a whole walkthrough of all the murals with her when I was there and
Mm.
work. And they were about to start up with a whole new women's mural project that they were about to do, and just the process is like, oh man, I'll send you the link after the interview. But
Um,
yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole of wow,
it's
phenomenal stuff.
please do. I'll check out their stuff. Holy cow. Um, well, I let me ask you this: since you seem to have a lot of experience, how did you get in contact, or like how do you come to be part of Creative Collective, or is that like something that you started?
Well, it's kind of like a something that, okay, when I first went
Mm.
into Rarible, and I was as an artist, like I kind of wanted, through the nonprofit that she was like my friend who was my old student in Photoshop, she was like, hey, go look into this NFT space and see how maybe possibly we can go into it.
Mm.
And through there, I was like, okay, best way is to just jump in and start doing things. So I minted some NFTs, and then I got sucked into the community forums.
Mm.
And that's where I met Eric, who's one of the, he does a lot of different things within the DAO, the Rarible Protocol DAO.
Mm.
And basically he said, me and him started talking, and then through that I did my first proposal, and that was the start of Creator Collective. And I brought on Mark and another guy, Jorge, who helped me with that. And we did the Earth Day NFT campaign, and it was like our first little, I've never done proposals. I didn't know what a DAO was.
Mm.
I still am like, I'm just learning by doing kind of thing. And then that was a huge success. And that was like, and then me and Mark, who's my co-creator in Creator Collective, we created we spent like a long time creating the next proposal. So this one's a 2 campaign. Like this is, we're doing 2 different competitions. The first one is the one
Mm.
happening now. And then, and submissions for that and on the 30th of this month, and then after that we have another one. So yeah, and we got it funded through the Rarible Protocol DAO, and so this is our current project. So yeah.
It's it's actually cool. Well, so even I to this day, to be honest, still don't understand how DAOs fully function. So is it like the Rarible community voted on like your proposal with the Rarible tokens? Is that
Yeah,
how?
yeah,
Oh,
pretty.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so what happens is like you first, I think different DAOs, and again, I'm still learning, and
Mm.
it's, Mark is really, really the one, like he's been in the space way longer than me and more knowledgeable. I could have explained this. Well, hope on Monday he will explain
Yeah.
it even better.
Yeah.
He's the one to ask about the DAO. But yeah, like so what we did, we put this proposal on what's called, on the community forum. It's on there for 7 days just to get feedback from the community.
Mm.
And since I started, I've been reaching out to people there. I'm always love to see what challenges, what people are interested in, what they're doing, their art, and then people commented on that, and after that it goes into Snapshot and gets voted on by people with the Rari token.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually cool. It's to those listening, it's the transparency you're sort of seeing is unseen in the fine art world, legitimately. Like that sort of voting acceptance sort of thing. Like you don't, man. Like I don't know. At least my personal experience in my university degree, the hidden politics in the fine art world were too much, and then it's actually cool to see this sort of thing be able to be voted on, and like through the works.
Yeah,
It's actually very
yeah, it's
cool.
been an amazing experience, and it's definitely a big process to get it ready to
Mm-hmm.
even begin that process. But I've learned a lot. I've always worked with like the Kelly McCuley friend or ex coworker of mine who does
Mm-hmm.
the small town big art. She was the grant writer, so in a way, I've become a grant writer with Mark, and that's kind of what we do. We kind of propose these ideas, and hopefully it's something the community wants, and yeah.
Oh,
But
sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna
No,
say
no, no. I'm
like
just rambling.
it's I think it's something that absolutely like the community wants. That's why I was mentioning before that, funny enough, like not a lot of artists apply to art competitions because they think other artists don't apply to art competitions, and so you end up with people who would consider non-artists, right? Not hobbyists, just people who like hear about it within their field and then submit, and then they win, and then the other artist will be like, see, like that's why like I didn't apply because this piece of thing won, and they don't understand that no artists have applied, right? And so the quality of work there, like the amount of artistic work there being submitted to these competitions is relatively low, compared to like people who haven't been practicing the skill, or like the practicing their hobbies for a while, even that, right? And so people we'll delve deeper into this art
Yeah.
competition, but apply to this. You'll feel good, even if it's your first mint. I was looking through your forums actually, because I was like, I'm a judge. I should know how. Yes, and also to people who are listening, I have been brought on as an art judge. Um,
Yeah, I'm so stoked. That's gonna be awesome to have you there.
I'm excited too. Funny enough, never did I think my 4 years of essay writing in art history class would benefit me, but it's actually benefiting me so much that I'm like, okay, all right, fuck, okay, I'll give it to you that one, university. But like it's
Oh.
actually cool because I was looking through your forum, and then I see you guys are asking questions like, is this your first NFT, right? How'd you hear about this? But
Oh,
like,
on our forum, our Google forum. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right.
Cool.
And then I don't fully know what Substack is, but you
Oh, it's
know,
like a place where for newsletters, the
okay,
Substack newsletter. It's like yeah, it's what
for
tool
like,
we use. I think
okay,
the Rarible it uses a bunch of places, and so that's what I decided to use. But
okay. No, I was
yeah.
just, and so it's actually cool because then you also have questions like what are your biggest takeaways, and so not only are because in a lot of competitions, for example, it's just here are the parameters for the work, right? Um, Give us your file name, you have the date, apply here, by, right? You rarely get like a sort of competition that asks for your thoughts, let alone asks
Oh
for
yeah.
other, it's like, and it's funny enough in the fine art world, like I don't know if you fully noticed this, but it's like competitions will ask you to pay to apply,
Oh yeah, I
right?
don't yeah, it's hard because it's expensive. That's why I think it intimidating, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, as an artist, it's like both of those things come into play, and it's hard as artists. I mean, anytime you put your art out there, it's like your little baby. You're like, go live out
exactly.
there. They might smush you, but it's okay.
And it's
You'll
like,
transform.
yeah, and like those competitions essentially like already assume that because you're an artist that you have the money, for example, to produce this certain piece of work, you have the money to apply, not realizing that sometimes that's all the money that you have to put towards your artistic budget, right? For their supplies and nothing else, and you get
Yeah.
stopped at that little pay door where it's like, hey, give us your $25 fee for application. You're like, come on, right? Because we know also
Yeah.
that it's like that's how you're making the real money. Is it's not,
Yeah.
and so it's cool to see um, to those listening, it's cool to see, you know, a competition that's just open to people, because in the fine art world that doesn't happen, um, which sort of
No,
sucks.
definitely. No, this
Uh,
is a whole nother, this could be a 2 hour discussion, you know. And
oh yeah.
also like what's cool is like I'm super stoked that you noticed that because for us, I mean, if you read our like we have our long proposal on Snapshot, it's still up on there. Um
Mhm. I have it up
sorry,
right
I'm
now.
just like oh, okay. Yeah, it's basically one of our key things is to be able to like, you know, learn from each experience and pivot and make it better and better because we're here really to serve the community. We really want, you know, our goal is to educate and create engaging opportunities for artists, especially, you know, I'm still consider myself a new person in the space and I'm just like I just dive myself in and see and learn that way, but it's
Hmm.
hard because some people come in and they mint an NFT and that's it, but it's like, oh, there's so much more. There's community. There's, you know, and look, it's led me to meet the amazing meta guys through another event that I just dove into.
Hmm.
That is just you never know what where it'll lead you, and just I just love learning. Really, like
It's
that's my you know.
yeah. I couldn't agree with you. It's like there's just something about this space that it's like, I mean, like, you know, like if like part of me doesn't really understand the resistance towards NFTs from artists, because as artists, right, we are aware of the struggles in the fine art world and
Yeah.
all the barriers that get put up there, and then for something that comes like something so pivotal, right? Um,
Hmm.
somebody, I forget the word. There's a well, I forget the word, but it's like something so pivotal in the space that is gonna change everything and impact everything, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
you know, it's like I was thinking about it. It's like I'm coming up on a year in the space, and it's like I was joking to myself, and I was like, you know, I would give people 5 years in the space to be considered an OG, and even then, like we don't know where the space is gonna be in 5 years for
I
OGs to be
know.
OGs, right?
I
Um,
know, totally. I feel like a year feels like OG to me. Like even like I've been in it about now 4.5 months, and I feel like each day is like 100 years in regular time.
right? It's like
Like,
the drama. It's like somebody tweeted me as like, man, this the stuff you have seen, and I realized, oh, like there's a bunch of people that don't realize like the whole. I don't know. Were you here when the whole Blue Kirby thing happened with Rarible? Were you
mm-mm.
so like when everybody first joined Rebel, like this random token started dropping by Blue Kirby, and then it turned into like the biggest deal. And then within a week, the problem had been like called out, refunds happened, and then we had moved on to the next problem. And then looking at it, I was like, holy fuck, that's like 7 months ago. And like you look at Rarible now, and the website looks so different than what it did like 3 months ago too. It's actually wild.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, I do a lot of stuff in the metaverse too, in Decentraland, and
Do
it's
you,
just and I love it because it changes. Like right now, everything we're doing is going to be like historical documentation. You know, it's like it's going to change so much. Like every month, it's like a new look, a new. So it's really cool. Like that's why I really love what
mhm,
you're doing because the artists, how they create, how they present, everything's going to shift. You know, everyone does where they
absolutely.
why they learn, and I am too. It's funny when I first mentioned, I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a dork. Look at that. That's totally like me playing in After Effects, not knowing anything. And then it's like, oh, now I want to do this. Or like you see an artist who uses the tool in that
Yeah.
way, which is why we wanted to do this. Like we wanted to feature artists who are like, you know, they call it tip of the spear, just like cutting edge and just
Hmm.
doing badass shit with cool shit. So now I'm a VR addict. Like after hanging out with Metageist, I'm like, I'm signed up for Oculus. I want to play with Gravity Sketch. I want Tilt Brush. Like it looks so freaking
Um,
cool. Like I
look,
don't know.
funny enough, look into VR has some really really nice graffiti engines, like graffiti video games that
Yep.
just like I saw it and I
Oh
was like, oh
wow.
my god, how are you able to spray paint like this in VR? Um, but it's like it's also like bringing up to like seeing other works. Like people don't realize um like the space does a lot of talk about how pivotal it is, right? And that can in turn like get people carried away and not realize, you know, the impactful things and the stuff that will be considered foundational in 5 to 10 years, right?
Mm.
Like to go to your point of like you guys are trying to select the tip of the spear, right? And it's like you should be selecting the tip of the spear because we're in a foundational time where the people that are at the tip of the spear now are legitimately going to be the foundation for the space, right? Because they're going to be the ones that you look at 5 years from now and be like, this person achieved this, and we're building on top of what they have.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
actually,
And
go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. Sorry.
And I was gonna say, like, I've noticed it within my own work, like personally, like I see a lot of people like like I don't like you've noticed it in the space, like the space can be very colorful and very like pastelly and ethereal, and it's like a theme that everybody's messing with, and so it's like it's in turn made its way into my own personal work, right?
Mm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
and so with and I have no problem saying that within like 5 to 10 years people will be able to look at, like all of NFT artists and then locate, like essentially like the artists that caused specific stylish advancements or thematical or conceptual advancements, because it's like you look at the work of like X Copy, for example, and then after their
Yeah.
work gets big, a bunch of people start fucking with like that very fast animation type style, and now it's
Oh yeah,
common.
yeah. I've noticed that. Yeah, it's cool. Well, that's cool. I mean, and that's funny because it's like as an art teacher, there's always people like who were like I remember, not that it's bad, but that's just their way. They were like, "Oh,
Mm,
I'm never gonna show you," and I'm from the path of like, "Dude, I'll show you everything because it's always gonna be copied and you learn from each other. Just fucking
exactly.
create and have fun." Like, and that's kind of like I think because I did a lot of wearable arts and a lot of like recycled fashion, and it's just
Mm,
like that's the fashion world too. Everybody is
re.
picking up from each other, and it's like this crazy, and it's like, or you can stay in your little box, close
Mm,
the door, and like, but okay, I'm not saying that's bad too, but everyone has their process. But I love just messing around and just like, you want to learn here. This is what I did. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but
ex-
hopefully it'll help you. You know, like,
exactly. Yeah, and it's and people don't realize, like, just sometimes through your conversation with somebody about somebody else's art and you like showing them your experiments and them showing you your experiments, both of
oh
you
yeah,
can advance your work
totally.
like
Now you know why I
independently.
love teaching. Like seriously, that's been my 20 years of like, being a digital arts teacher. It's just like at college level and at visual arts center, it's more fun because I don't like grading people. I hated grading. It was like hell to
I
me. Like I
imagine.
would just be like, I'll get A's and I just have fun because and that's why like little I would do my favorite was like those 2 3 day workshops where we create these crazy monster, just you name it. And it's funny. I wish I had more of that work. A lot of it reminds me of the stuff I'm seeing here, and I'm like, I have so much work that I created that I have no idea where it is. Like.
Yeah, it's
But
and
one
it
thing I want to say is
mm,
you've done some badass I saw you've done how many projects? 5 different huge projects you've
I've
accomplished?
so I've done four so far.
Oh, four. Okay, four.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no,
Because I was
it's
looking at it. I'm like, that's a lot. That's awesome.
yeah, it's I
Kudos,
like
dude.
thank you. It's like I went to university, and like my biggest thing in university was like, because I'm Egyptian and I'm in Canada, like the whole like international student thing. I was like, hey, you better teach me how to paint like fucking Picasso, right? Like you better teach me like like I expected, because my dad was always like, like Terry, Anubis, you gotta draw, you gotta do this, and so I'm expecting like 8 hour drawing model classes, like I fully expected to call my dad and be like, Dad, I want to quit because there's too much drawing, not that there is the lack of drawing, you know?
Mm.
And so after 4 years, like I remember one time my professor told me, he's like, one of my favorite professors, like insane painter. His name is Martin Golan, but he knew, like immediately recognized. He was like, oh, you if you want to learn how to paint, like technically, you go to college. And to me, I was like, they're like, not to shit on colleges, right? If I had known that colleges were a way that an international student can get their visa on, I would have done that instead of gone to university. But to me, I was like,
Mm.
oh damn, are you serious, bro? I'm in second year university. I'm 2 years in. Like, what do you mean? And so I left, I graduated, and then I just have like this like extreme passion and anger towards my university degree that I'm just like, cool, you rejected digital art, I'm going digital art. You rejected like my video game inspirations, I'm going video game inspirations. And it's
Oh, you
just
know what's oh man, I had the opposite. It's so funny. That goes back to another one of my in my history. Like back in I went to University of Colorado and it was the opposite where you experienced I was their one of their first graduates, first students of the Technology Arts and Media program, which is now the Alliance for Technology Learning and Society, this huge, amazing department that's also now has masters, and it's all digital arts and all these amazing classes to do with like interdisciplinary art.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'd love it. But it was amazing because back in the day, this was like when I started getting into this, I seriously, our first class was in the dungeon of like the football stadium, and our computers also got stolen at one point. Like we were like the ghetto kids who were like, we love this shit and like teach us anywhere, we didn't care. Like it was like this cheesy little like, take a class with us, you know, technology, arts, and media. And like now it's blown up, but it was cool because back then it's kind of like, you know, the hardcore hackers, like you all find
Yeah.
each other somehow. I don't know.
It's it's actually crazy that you say your computers got stolen because our art uh, our art building had their computers get stolen too. When I
That's so
was
right,
there,
back in the day.
it's
That's
like
so funny.
it's
Maybe it's the same people, dude.
maybe it's like that's the thing. It's like they just know artists, you know, like or like just like people, just like we don't care. We're just too focused on our own creations. That at least in our case, like somebody just let them in, and we didn't realize this dude's about to or this person is about to rob 21 computers at the building, and that was great. It was like, oh, cool, wow.
That whole all the like for me, you've actually like when I was looking at all the work you've done, you've inspired me to be like, well, it makes you think like the projects that you did really makes you think of like how can you take your creation process in the space to such a different level. Like I love how you there's so many that to me is like the rabbit hole that sucks my life away,
Well,
right?
it's like well, I thank you. Oh yeah, yeah, and I thank you because to me, like the way I looked at it is, well, it's like two things, right? Like, I'm first of all, like when I like watching American Gods for the first time, right? As like a in second year, it like changed my view of like everything because I was sitting there and I was like, this is a fictional story, but like the themes in play, the cultural themes in play are fucking insane. And I was like,
You know, I've never actually seen that. I need to see it, don't I?
I recommend it. It's just like because it's like because like people talk about like dead religions and all that, and then here comes Neil Gaiman like essentially commenting on the whole concept of religions dying, dead religions, abandoned gods, and like
Mm.
he comes up with this fictional idea of like belief is power, but it sort of makes sense. And in my head, I was like, hold on, sir, like you're onto something. And then my thinking, I was like, I'm into video games, I'm into all that, so why just not tie all of like the fictionality of
Mhm.
just like modernizing ancient Egyptian stuff together, and then just ever evolve it, because through art history, like I realized everything is a fucking cycle, and like to your point earlier,
Yep,
like we
totally.
use other stuff, right? And so I was like, it's like you'd sit in art history classes, and then my teachers would shit on Orientalist paintings, and
Oh man,
like
that's Matt. Oh
and
no.
it's like
I
and it's
love
like
that.
and it's like I love Orientalist paintings too. Like I like as fake as they are and as just bullshit as they are, like they're like my bread and butter as a kid of art. I was like, oh wow, they're cool, they're amazing. And my dad, who's like knowledgeable about art, still loves them. And so my thing, I was like, I'm not gonna throw all this Orientalist stuff away. I'm just gonna evolve it. Like that's the whole point. And it's like
Mhm.
it connects with the NFT space and to like what everybody else is doing, because it's like when I first got introduced to the NFT thing, I saw it as an evolution of just artists, you know, trying to get hold of their power as artists back, and also artists
Mhm.
like tackling their issues, with like archival stuff, material deterioration, royalties is like a fucking huge thing in this space,
I
like
know that is amazing too. And like no, I
right.
feel like a lot of like I understand with your background too because I'm originally personally from Venezuela. I came to the US when I was about 7.
Yo, no
And for
fucking
me
way.
like in my real like passion, I love like Aztec, Olmec, Toltec, all Mayan, you name it, all the amazing art. That to me is the most phenomenal art there is. Just like I've been to a lot of these places and like that I pull from that. If you look at a lot of my work or like my painting stuff, which I've put a little bit, but that to me is these creatures like Quetzalcoatl
Right.
or Quetzalpopatl and all these things. That it's funny, I create them and I'm like, and then I look at ancient drawings. I'm like, hey, that's him. It's like they come back
Yeah.
through different artists, like time travel. Like we're
It's
just portals of. It's always repeating, no matter what. The
it,
giant fractal vortex is just ongoing.
it's true. It's true. It's also very crazy that you say you're originally from Venezuela, because my girlfriend's also Venezuelan.
Oh, awesome.
So she,
Tell her I'm from Caracas.
she's okay. Hold on. Well, I'll tell her after. But
Okay.
her work also is starting to mess with. Well, her work is starting to mess with like very specific Venezuelan themes, um, like the Maria Leonza and all that. But it's like, I started to notice that it just like in the evolution of art, like and the evolution of the space, like um, I was talking to Yekta about this. Like, it's people from different backgrounds like now have the ability to actually utilize the backgrounds in a way that we're the ones that are able to utilize it, not some gallery person who's gonna make a show and then hand or cherry pick four people from third world countries and then try to paint it as like look at me and look at me giving these artists a chance, right? It's like we have the we
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
we have the ability to talk about our cultures ourselves. We're able to represent ourselves, we don't have to go to other people for representation, and it's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
to me that's I was like, oh my god, this is the evolution of the space. It's like it's like and like I'm also like I look forward to like when collectives like yours, right, like the creator collective and all of that like realize like how do you or like you when you guys start to solidify yourselves, right, as a collective in the space fully, like 5 years, ten
Oh my God, it's
years
gonna be crazy. Who knows where
right.
I know we'll be on the moon, hanging out, drawing the Earth. Like
Just because
in
like
the metaverse full time.
it's like yeah, well actually I wanted to ask, like, do you guys have a plot in the metaverse? Is
Well, I
that
work with the Dissenter Fund Gallery,
oh
and
wow.
like I actually curated a like they have like I think it's like 7 floors, and they do all sorts of. It's funny. Right when I came into this space, I met the Dissenter Fund guy because I had no idea my sound in Decentraland wasn't working. And he helped me, and this is how the space is. You never know what
Yeah.
character but I curate one of the floors, and I actually did from that Earth Day NFT.
Mm.
Some of the artists from that I put in there, and that's what I hope to do as well for we every probably 2 months or every month we'll put new shows in each floor. Like
Okay.
we have different people in charge of different floors, and yeah. So, but
That's
yeah, I just love like crypto voxels too. Oh my god, that's how I actually met Metakey through Picnic, which is one of the another something. It's building on the wearable protocol right now. It's not
mm.
completely out yet. They're still doing a lot of things, but it was an event they did that right up your alley again. It was called NFT Show and Tell. So she invited artists. It was me, Sparrow, Eric, Ojai, Metageist, and I think Mark went there, and everyone basically ahead of time gave her like
Oh
some
wow.
of NFTs in their collection, and we all gathered and talked about why we love those NFTs that we collected.
Oh wow. That's
It
that's
was it was cool.
that's that's actually very cool. It's um like that is it's like Decentraland has been like this weird thing because I never expected real life to translate so well into Decentraland, but it does. To where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
as a person who like like first when I joined the space I was like, yeah, cool, a plot is cool, but like I don't want wearables. And I still like I'm not into wearables that much, but it's like I'm walking into Centerland and I see a car and my first thought I'm like, can I get in the fucking car?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
totally.
And then like following people in the space and then seeing like them work on like interporality. I can't even pronounce that.
Interoperability, right?
Yes,
That's the
that's the word.
fancy word that I learned, and I'm like, that's the key magical word.
That's
If you know how to say, I don't know how to say it necessarily very well, but that's where the Metakey is just, and that's where like
it,
you look at Kevin on Earth and Peanut Butter, and I mean, I personally love wearables just because of my background, and like I
mm,
think there's so much creativity happening in the art, like from artists and the crazy wearables that are being done, especially now since we're like submitting wearables and having them actually pass has it become easier.
okay.
But like it's getting crazy. It's like a renaissance in wearables in there right now. It's pretty awesome, I think. I'm sure they both know way more because they're always talking
Oh
about
yeah.
certain wearable drops, and they're
I,
both doing cool shit.
I'm pretty sure Kevin on Earth and Peanut Butter live in Decentraland. They don't even live on
Yeah,
Earth
they're
anymore.
they know so much cool stuff, and they're always trying to go into their rabbit hole, and it's like, oh my god, I need to just like
It's
only reason I want money so I can dive in and like just learn, so I
yeah.
don't have to work a regular job and just can do this.
It's actually yeah. It's like the space. It's funny. Like I didn't expect myself to like sort of leave my job and try to be a full-time artist when I first joined the space, but at some point I looked at the NFT space and I was like, this moves so fast that at some
Yeah.
point I need to jump on the train.
Yeah.
And I when I jumped on it, I was like, oh boy. And then I realized how fast it fucking moves. I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking fast ass train,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's um like like a year ago, people weren't taught like the whole idea of I'm not gonna pronounce the word. I'm not gonna even attempt it. But like,
Interoperability.
yes, thank you. Like
And
that.
maybe I'm saying it wrong, so sorry, audience. If like I'm totally fucking it up.
But it's like a year ago that word wasn't even in the space, and now
Yeah.
it's like I think it makes sense, right? Like you would think about it and you'd be like, holy shit, yeah, that's the natural
Yeah.
evolution of everything. Because it's like, how many times did you think, holy fuck, why can't I just drag this into there, right?
Yeah. We're basically creating wormholes between everything.
Ex-
You know?
yeah, well,
That's like it is, a wormhole generator. It's
that's
like
that's actually a that's a cool name for it, wormhole generator. But I wanted to ask, have you seen the AR jacket that whatever, hold on,
I
RTFKT Studios made on their like Snapchat thing?
no, but I'm sure it's badass. I've seen the more VR stuff, I mean AR stuff I see, the more it's just so I love it. You know what I saw that you would like? I think Metageist did some kind of like AR component in crypto voxels.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like amazing how AR and VR like those and the regular metaverse, Yeah, send me that link. I would love to see
I'll
that.
I'll try to find it. It's like, and like looking at it, it got me thinking. Like we sort of now have to use our phones to like get these um filters to function, right? Like you have to point your Snapchat at somebody, right?
Mm.
But what happens when we're messing around with like augmented reality glasses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you when like companies like say
Oh
RTFKT
wow.
comes up with their own clothing line that's AR tagged, right? Like physically has a thing in it,
Hmm.
so that your AR
Yeah.
glasses pick up on it and immediately overlay the AR jacket on top of your real life jacket. And
Oh, I love it. I mean,
I
oh, that's so wicked.
like to me that I when I saw that video, I was like, that's where the space is going. You cannot tell me this
Yeah.
is not where this space is
Yeah.
going.
And it's funny because even in Silkscreen, I've always played with layers, and that's the same thing. It's another layer, and like I love glow in the dark shit, and I'm always like doing shirts that would have weird shit, like super layer. And so yeah,
Oh,
I totally get it.
well, so this is also a little bit off topic, but to those listening, and if you're wondering why we're not talking a little bit about the competition, it's fine. Listen, it's good to hear. It's good to hear the minds behind the competition too. Uh, it's actually because it's like again, like people don't know about the hidden politics, and so like when a competition online can seem so like impersonal, right? Like,
I know, and it's hard because you want to share it, and like I feel people think I'm shilling. I'm like, no, this is a cool opportunity. I want you to apply and win.
yeah,
Like it's not for me, it's for you. And
and
it's hard because how do you share that with a community when they don't know who the hell you are?
yeah,
So
and so
it's kind of
well, I wanted to ask, have you thought about async
oh
art,
yeah,
and your
yeah. I've actually applied to it and I got in, but I need to do something now.
yeah, because like you mentioned layers again in my brain, I was like, hold on, screen printing with layers
Yeah, I
and
know.
async art,
Oh, it'd be so wicked.
that would
I
be cool.
know. But then I have so many, like you, I'm sure, I have so many things going on. Like, I've actually the last few days just kind of reached points where, like, I'm in overwhelm. Like,
Yeah.
I just stare at the screen and I'm like, I have to focus on, I actually, like, I use what's it called? Pomodoro, the
Mhm.
timers, IO focus. Just like, sorry, you can't, I like take away all the social media because when you do stuff in social media to share your message, it's so distracting,
Yeah,
like it can
it's
be, and it's like, I don't, yeah, that's a whole nother thing to talk about.
somebody on Twitter was joking, is like, how is it that I'm doing 30 minutes of work and then like 2 hours of Twitter and NFTs? And I
Oh,
was like,
oh, so easy.
Sir, it's NFTs. Like, it's
No, that's why I get the hell outside. I mean, I'm a big time mountain biker, and I make myself get out every day at least 2-3 hours to just look at the ultimate the ultimate metaverse is outside. It's
It's
nature.
it's like I agree, and it's
Oh, it's
like
or
people
fractal verse.
yeah no, like and people think like like the future is gonna be like VR, and it's like it's gonna be that, but it's like I really think we're gonna bring AR. We're gonna focus on AR far more because it's like no way, like are we gonna as a human society just give up on nature as a whole?
Oh, hell
You
no.
know,
Nature is like the ultimate, to me, that's my ultimate inspiration. There's nothing more
it's
than the fractal landscapes. That's why I call myself fractilians, because it's like everywhere outside is just like the infinite resolution.
right.
You can go as down as deep to the atom level and out to outer space. And it's just like, if you let your mind go to those places, so much cool shit happens.
It's yeah, and it's like I to those listening, I look at like fruit patterns, um,
Oh, yeah.
like I forget what they look at an acorn. That's the word, acorn. Look at the pattern of an acorn, and it's like it still fascinates the living fuck out of me every time because I'm like, yo, you're nature. You're supposed to be random, you know? How is it so uniform and so perfect and like oh, well, that's not fractals though. That's a
Well, it's just,
sequence.
well, it's
I,
also like sacred geometry and the
yes.
patterns, the way things grow. It's all the same thing in my
Yeah.
brain. I mean, I'm not a scientist, and I'm sure everyone's listening is gonna be like,
No.
shit, but it's visually that visual geometry or that visual fractal pattern of growth. It's essentially, all forms from that like little bindu point, and then exponentially expands to create some shape. Like one of my favorite, what's his name? I can't even think right now. My brain's all over the place, but uh, I'll think of it in a minute. But he said this. It's like we are just pattern integrity irrigated by matter.
Hold on. We are pattern integrity.
In pattern integrity irrigated by matter, because everything's changing. We're always are everything's within 5 years we're completely physically new creatures, and everything in basically it's just this pattern integrity, a shape
Mm.
irrigated by matter going through it, cycling through it. So if that makes sense.
It does. I'm just
Visually, it's trippy if you think about it. You're like,
everybody I have on has like this habit of just like dropping shit on me that just like leaves words out of my brain. I'm like, oh fuck, hold on. It's like I was talking to Rhett Scanner once, and then he talked about fingerprints as NFTs, and my brain just left my skull, and I was like, shit, fuck. And then now this, like, oh my, what is?
I know who it was now. How could I forget? Buckminster Fuller.
It's
The, yeah, the master. You know him, right? He's the inventor of geodesic dome.
the wait. That's I actually did not know this. No.
Oh, he's a phenomenally interesting. I mean, that's another rabbit hole of like studying his art, his not his just everything, his method of creation and his background, and just he was
Oh,
brilliant. He was like another like a Nikola Tesla type.
hold on. Is he the one that did the one in Quebec? Whoa, I have
Yeah,
seen
I
that
believe
dome. I
he's
have.
the inventor of that. Yeah,
Oh wow.
he's like an
Um,
amazing like his whole history is like yeah. He's an
it's
engineer, architect, futurist. So his thoughts. I mean, yeah, he and yeah, that's
it's
another rabbit hole.
it's actually cool that you bring up architecture because to those listening, architecture is a very important part of the art world that is essentially
Oh
being
my
left
god.
in the dirt in the
Oh
NFT
well,
space. Like
no, but
I
in the metaverse,
yeah.
it's not.
Oh yeah, no.
That's where it's
In the
shining.
in the metaverse, it's like it's booming in such a way, and then there's a few um there's one artist that I fucking love their work. I own one of their apartments, right? Like they're
Ooh, what
when I
is?
so they're Dutch Tide. Um, I'll
Okay.
I'll get you their stuff now. And so I think they joined the space when I joined the space also around the same time. So like about a year ago, and uh, I I essentially consider him as the first person to ever sell any form of like digital real estate
Oh,
ever
cool.
as an NFT. Like people like argue with him about like use cases because like a dude in Toronto sold a VR house for 500,000, but that's Toronto, and then Toronto circle jerks itself like nothing else because it's Toronto. We don't listen to Toronto.
The states we have states like that too, so I get it.
It's like
I'm sure.
like yeah, no, like we have a joke, like the whole phrase Toronto men's in Canada is like an actual like tested phrase. It's like because Toronto men's be wild out here, and we don't listen to Toronto men's. But so I sent you the link. But so I looked at his work and I was like, holy shit,
Oh
dude,
wow.
what you're doing is fucking insane. And then he dropped a Tibet
That's
homage,
cool.
right? But it's like he dropped a Tibet homage and then a Hong Kong homage, and I was like, hold up, wait a minute,
And
pause.
see, oh my god, I have like too many notes. I've been writing notes the whole time we were talking. I'm like, thanks for like making my. I'm gonna have to cut myself off again. I'll be like, he gave me like 5 weeks of things to dive into. Shit, I better
It's
turn it off and go stare at the sunflowers
it's
again.
it's I if somebody can pay me to talk about art for 24/7, I'll happily take that. That's
That's
I can
awesome.
do
No,
that.
that's.
Uh,
Uh,
but it's like I was talking to him and I was like, dude, I don't think you realize like how important this sort of work is, right? And people like don't realize like it's like he Dutch Tide is working on his own like game engine, right? Where you can
oh, nice.
visit like these apartments, right?
Is it like sandbox style?
I don't know. He's all I
Okay.
know is from his Twitter. He's running it in Unreal Engine 5, so it's gonna look,
Oh wow.
or no, some of the renders, some of the recent renders he's doing are in Unreal Engine 5, because they look fucking insane. But I don't know where the world is gonna be based.
I know this is.
Um,
Oh, cool. This looks awesome. Oh
right?
my god. See,
But
yeah, like I've actually like because of the space, I've been like I got myself a subscription to the lovely rabbit hole of technology learning is Cinema 4D. Oh my god, it's
oh,
so fun.
you
Holy,
have you looked into Blender?
no, I have too, but I just there's something about Cinema 4D. I it's just like sucked me in.
Okay,
It's just so powerful. But Blender too. I played with Blender too.
it,
But
it's
yeah,
I'll check Cinema. Everybody's been talking about Cinema 4D. I'll check them out because I mainly use Blender, and I think Dutch used Blender for a little bit, but now he's moved on too, and there might be something to Cinema 4D. I'll check it.
there's also I mean there's so much cool stuff to use. I just it's just like I think the main thing is like whatever tool is like your brain starts like the hardest part was like I feel like my students is like
Mm-hmm.
like when they're learning Photoshop, like I seriously would have students sometimes. Like I taught, from little kids to like
Mm-hmm.
80-year-olds Photoshop. So sometimes I would have the level of a student that would take a mouse and put it up to the computer not knowing how to use a mouse.
Oh,
So like so you can
oh,
so that's kind of how I feel right now in Cinema 4D. Like
it's
it's amazing, but it's like I see like oh my god, I'm just in the not even I haven't even reached the path to the beginning. That's where
it's
I'm at.
yeah. I look up like some like shading videos, and like
Oh yeah.
the
Oh my
nodes
god.
freak me the fuck out. I'm like, oh shit. And like these people like are talking in their videos like, hey, you put this, you plug that in there, and I'm like, you know what all of these do? Oh my god,
I
it's
know,
it's
right?
it's crazy. Um, but it's like it is what it is. You gotta learn the node-based programming. It's better than actual programming. I have to say that. That's one cool thing that I've noticed is like we're technically programming, but it's node-based.
Hmm.
It's not coding-based, which is cool.
And I
Um,
like the visual component. Like I've
yeah.
done some coding in the past and done like UX UI design. I've worked on so many weird projects, but like yeah, for me I love that part of it, how deep you can go down that rabbit hole. And then when you see a master working on it like a Beeple or like,
Yeah.
someone who just knows like a meta guy, all that kind of stuff, you're just like, wow, like I know if I went in there I'd be like a kindergartner just like wee
And it's like
get myself dizzy and like throw up.
and it's just and like to tie in like walking around these worlds, right? Like the possibility of walking around these worlds like just makes your brain race in so many
Hmm.
ways, right? Because like in relation to like something like for example Beeple, you know like walking around some of his like his political stuff, his like
I
comedic
love
political stuff,
he's brilliant, man. I
right?
was oh dude, I
It's
love him.
it's like funny enough, like Beeple is like one of the only artists that I saw that hit like everybody in like just politics wise. Like I was just like, dude, he does not care. He just hate
I know, I
everybody.
love that about him.
And I was like,
But he's a master. He's like, it's funny. I just went to a comedy show and like, he's like a master comedian. A master comedian can poke fun at all the things because he
yeah,
can see all the perspectives.
it's true.
Like he's not like, and that's an amazing
And
storytelling ability.
it is, and
He's a
it's like,
master.
and like in a sense, right, where it's like, you know, it's not happening to people's work in the States, right? His work is not censored, but like when it comes time for like oppressive like places to censor stuff, right? You have this NFTs that are essentially sort of uncensorable, you know? And to
Mm.
me, like when I was looking like at some of Dutch's work, like in his Hong Kong homage, I was like, bro, like both of us, because I've seen some like old school Hong Kong videos of like the 80s and 90s, right? And like Hong
Mm-hmm.
Kong has like this like nice like atmosphere around it that everybody internationally knows is going to disappear the moment, Hong Kong becomes part of China, mainland China, right? And I told him like the main thing about that is like, holy fuck, man, like like we're not going to get, you know, uh, a lot of political art from Hong Kong anymore because that shit's gonna be gone. Internet from Hong Kong is gonna be gone, and then on top of that, Hong Kong is sort of known for its like graffiti culture, right? Like that's how a lot of like Chinese
Mm.
citizens like voice out some of their complaints is like literally just graffitis on the wall, and he has a piece where it's like a graffiti's on the wall, and I was like, at some point, your piece might be one of the only existing homages of ever Chinese graffiti, in resistance to something, and my brain, I was like, holy fuck, like what does this mean? Like what does this mean if Chinese artists like start building, certain things that, or like start producing works that are going to be censored by, or that can be
Mm.
censored by their governments, but then you utilize the NFT space and like places
Yeah.
like OnCyber, Decentraland, which are uncensorable, right? To get their work out there and to let their work survive, to like let their work survive, grow, evolve. I was like, holy shit, we're it's done, it's
Yeah.
done.
And,
We're
and there's so many layers to this space of all the like, governments now realizing, oh shit, like
yeah.
our monetary systems. But it's been messed up for years. It's not like something that
Oh yeah, no,
hasn't
it's
hasn't been people aren't aware of it, or the majority hopefully are have been aware. I mean, me coming from Venezuela,
yeah.
when we moved to the States, it was 2 bolivares to $1. Now it's 10,000, 20,000. It's
It's
worthless. They make art out of their money.
yeah.
You know that.
My
Your
home,
girlfriend.
the my girlfriend
It's
has come
so
to me,
sad.
and she actually came to me recently, and she's like, Maduro's planning to take like three zeros out of the bolivar, and I was like, that
Won't
doesn't,
matter.
yeah, that doesn't solve
It,
anything.
nope.
And like she knows that, and it's like some people are like celebrating it, and she's like, she just gets mad because she knows like this solves nothing.
But
And
I've heard, but I don't know personally, but I've heard there's a lot of Venezuelans now entering, the crypto world
oh
just
yeah,
because of it.
well, Maduro himself had like some military places turned into crypto mining for Bitcoin, because he
Oh
realized,
my God.
I mean, like
He's terrible. I mean,
oh
he's like a Trump though. Like either
yeah.
love him or hate him. So I'm not gonna say my position, but it's just like,
Well,
oh God.
I've had my girlfriend around me for enough just to say like the man has fucked his country beyond belief, regardless of like facts or non-facts, like
Yeah,
terrible
yeah.
decision making.
Yes.
If we're just talking about
And
like decision making, it's no, the guy. My girlfriend says he's a fucking bus driver, and so I'm like, shit. Okay, girl, you have your point. You know.
no, the sad thing is like it's a country that's so rich in like oil, so
Yeah.
many. It could be, and it's one of the most beautiful places. And I mean, I've been to Salto Angel, like Angel Fall. Like it is seriously one of the most insanely beautiful places in the world. And it's like it's so
It's
sad to see everything. But I have hope. Like you got to have hope. All the
I
people there are,
I have hope
they're
too.
wonderful.
Like I also have hope, especially because of crypto, because like
Yeah,
um
likewise.
it's like, I don't know if you follow Carlos Marcial on Twitter, but he's a Puerto Rican artist who lives in Mexico, who just recently is now able to live off completely off of crypto. The man is
Oh, wicked.
able to like
That's
afford,
awesome.
like food for his kids and everything.
That's
And
when I always feel like clapping. Whenever I hear another artist like fully in this,
right, you're like,
I'm just like I'm like
they did
yes,
it. And
I
then
know.
it got
They're
me
my
thinking,
new idol.
right? And it's like, it got me thinking, like, what happens when, like, like the people who have left, or who haven't left, who have immigrated for like to other countries because their homes are getting destroyed, right? What happens when they enter crypto, realize they have a fuck ton of money, and then they're able to go back and fix their countries? Because I look forward to that day, because then like the artistic booms that we're gonna see from these places are just gonna be insane. You know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like
No, it's
like it's I don't know, like also we don't know how the future is gonna be, um, but hopefully I pray.
But hopefully you're creating, like just putting creative energy out there, I think is the only
Yeah,
is a way to give back, and
absolutely.
I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. I don't know, however I try, to help or create or do. It's always, each day you hopefully will learn something new
E-
and make the next day better. It's that
exactly.
simple. I think
No,
it's
exactly.
hard sometimes though. It's really hard because
Oh, it's
yeah,
I mean, like, especially in this space, like, again, like, we talked about the space and like being motivated by it, but like it can also be pretty demotivating to see how fast the space moves on, because you can feel like you're either gonna get left behind, or your collectors are gonna move on, or in my case, sometimes I just get super mad when when a new project just drops out of nowhere and commands like a point zero 0.08 or a point 0.8 or a point 0.8 ether sale, and people just
mm,
flood to it like it's nothing, and then you have artists like who just struggle to sell zero point zero 0.01 ether, of one NFT. It's
mm.
like that's the thing that to me I'm just like like it can get hard, but also like this NFTs are going to change everything in such a way that I really think you know sticking to it will benefit, like has far more benefits than abandoning it, and it's like, I mean, you've been in the space for 5 months, and you're already establishing a name for yourself, right? Like, and that like like uh, that's what I realized in the space. Like a lot of us, like who enter the space, who either don't sell out like severely quickly, right? Like, severely quickly. That's I don't even. I've never heard somebody ever describe selling out so bad like that. but
But I
um,
get it. I got your point. That's all that matters.
but it's like because I've seen artists, like I've entered the space with artists and they've left because the sales have dried up, and
Mm.
you
It's
know
funny because I've sold none of my NFTs and that hasn't stopped me. I'm like, you know what? It's part of learning, and I'm actually I'm here to learn. Like back to that what we were talking about, and it's like, and that kind of brings me back to like my interview with Metakey. One of the
mm,
golden moments in that I think you probably appreciate is when we talk about the journey of how an artist become a collector and how collectors become artists.
yeah,
That is so cool, and
it is.
that's what happened to me. Like I minted stuff, and then I started looking at other work, and it inspired me. I'm like, oh man, I have to learn a lot of shit. I have to level up, which is kind of the name of the campaign. I realize my own stuff. Not that it's bad, but it's more like I have a lot to learn if I really want to start
Hmm.
expressing what I really want. Like I don't know how to use the tools. And I've taught digital arts, so I get it. I'm like, okay, I have to put in. I don't see my own stuff getting to the point of where I feel like, oh, maybe it'll sell. Maybe in a couple years when I really
Mm.
start to like, because it takes a while, and that's the thing, and that's what even Meta guys was talking about. Like, he sees people come in, and if it doesn't sell in a day, they
They just
leave.
yeah.
And it's like, no, 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 stay and play. And it's so much more than selling your NFT. It's like
It's
engaging with the community. I mean, look, I'm talking to you. This is so wicked. Like, who I would
ex-
have never met you any other way. You're
ex-
in Montreal.
no, exactly, no,
It's
100%.
so cool.
And like I say this every time I talk to somebody, because like I bring it up to those listening, because it's like it's a point that sucks, but it's a point that is true, like 100%. And it's like the artists we're seeing who sell out now either entered the space 4 to 3 years ago and have kept grinding, like X Copy and Trevor Jones, or in the
Oh, they're both
case,
amazing.
right, and
Or
it's
in
like,
Coldy
right, or
too. He's
Coldy,
amazing.
like
Oh yeah. Oh
they've
wow.
like Trevor Jones, he talks openly about his rejection from certain schools and certain shows and
Yeah,
stuff, right?
sounds like my life.
and
But
it,
that should never stop you. You have to keep fucking.
exactly,
That means you're on the right path. That's what I try to tell my 13 year
exactly.
old son. Is like if you're rejected, that's good. That means you're pushing beyond what you know
E-
now. And I don't know. That's how I see
Exactly.
it.
No, I agree with you. Like that's why like I mess with the themes that I mess with now too, because I'm like, you're rejecting it. Like university rejected it in such a way that I was like, there is something there. Now, oh no,
Mm.
now I know there is something there, because it's like also like in the sense of like, like how are universities rejecting all of this stuff, and then you look and turn, and video games and movies are utilizing all these digital mediums to such a success, but then you look at your professor, they're like, yeah, but that's not art. But like, yo, come on,
I know.
come on, dude,
Yeah,
like,
I know the feeling.
you know, and then uh, uh, and then so like these people have like spent 3 4 years building up their follower base, and then even in the cases of somebody like, I'm gonna butcher their name, but Billy's, I don't know. He's the person. He's the artist that does golden ornamental stuff that are very like reminiscent of Memento Mori, but he entered the space with already an established
Mm.
follower base from Instagram, and even then, that didn't fully translate from his Instagram over to his Twitter. He worked a little bit, but people like knew from his work on Instagram, and then that's how his
Mm.
stuff sold, right? But it's like the people like to those listening, like look at who's staying, right? Because the people who don't sell out, they realize I have to integrate within the community in order to establish a name for
Oh yeah.
myself, and then they're the ones that you see randomly pop up in different discords, like the amount of names
Yeah.
I've recognized over from Twitter on a random Discord. I was like, hold on, I've talked to you before. Wait a minute, what? It's crazy.
That's so cool. And it's, I mean, that's another like, yeah. With I learned it's so funny. Back to the little interview with Metakey. It's like I edited it, so I basically watched it like 5 times through, and each time I learned something new because, I mean, he's definitely one of those artists that is here to stay for,
Mm.
for his love and passion for the creation and the community building. I mean, he just dropped he curated a show, what is it, One Daps? I'm probably chopping it up, but he
One day.
all these it's what's it called? I can send you the link. I mean,
Please
it's not
do.
that, but he just curated these, and he had artists like Marco Matic, who you interviewed, and these amazing other VR artists, and like, yeah, it's phenomenal work. It's called Portals.
Portals.
It's on, yeah, and that just dropped, I believe, last week. But it's another thing, and his Metanauts show. Definitely recommend everybody go check that out. It's amazing. They interviewed Trevor Jones. They interviewed Coldy.
Oh
They
wow.
interviewed Trevor Jones's wife. I forget her name, but she's
Violet
awesome.
Jones. Yeah,
Violet, yeah,
her
she's great.
her paintings are fucking sick. Like
Yeah.
it's funny because like you would have expected, like Trevor Jones to be the one painting the UFC fighters, but no, it's Violet Jones. Well, like Trevor Jones has painted like McGregor and stuff, but it's like I was, like you don't see a lot of female artists painting either violent sports or manly sports, and
Oh,
that was
I think it's wicked.
right. It's like the coolest thing. I was like, it's like one time I was like, holy shit, I'm talking to Violet Jones about Habib, or no, the McGregor Poirier fight. I was like, holy shit, I'm talking to Violet Jones about McGregor losing to Poirier or winning to Poirier. Like, what the fuck is this
That's wicked.
world? You know?
No, I love it because I tend to all my life work in a lot of male dominated things, and it's great because it's just like it's, I mean, I think it's so much fun because for me it's about perspective and being
Mm.
able to like learn from, no matter where you are, with all women, all men, there's always a different way to perceive,
Mhm.
and that's why I appreciate of like where somebody goes into a field that's heavily by certain types. It's like, oh man, she's learning a lot there. It's like or like the men the same way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm
it's
rambling now.
no, it's
I'm butchering what I'm trying to say, but
no, I agree. Um, um, well, to bring it back to the to the art contest.
I thought this was gonna be 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
no,
like,
it's
we have nothing to talk about, so let's just be
yeah, no,
quick.
like before this, like I was talking to Fractilians, and I was like, I think this might be a short one because we don't, delve into like a lot of like I can't delve into like a lot of personal stuff because like we're not talking about your art, and here we are an hour later.
Remember, this is so much fun. I think we should do more open calls like this on there. Like everybody in the community. Have you done that, or have I
I
missed it? Or
It's happened a few times. Like it's happened like
okay,
a few times where, like you'll catch random people on the voice chat and you'll join, and then like it would be just like somebody either talking about Axie Affinity, and then that just snowballs into like random conversations. Um,
oh
but
yeah, I
like
can only imagine.
yeah, it does. It happens more like in just chats, not really voice chats. But it's like if you ever see Black Star in the Metakey Discord pop into like a voice chat, like usually he talks because he's
Oh,
heavy
cool.
he's heavy into the NFT scene. um he's like he also like does Axie Affinity scholarships and stuff, and he's like a philosophy student, and so
Oh,
like he
awesome.
actually like
Wow,
I've
that's
had
so
some.
cool.
Yeah, it's he's I believe studying, he's from Germany too, which is like the coolest thing. I was like, damn dude, nice, halfway across the world.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Some of the people I work in the Center Fund. I seriously could just sit and listen to them just talk about anything. Like a lot of times we have these meetings, they go for 4 hours. We're like, okay, we all gotta go to bed. Or some of them are in England time, and they're just like, dude, isn't it like 4 in the morning for you? Like, but it's so I love that part how all these people from different backgrounds, like you have the engineers, the
Hmm.
artists, the teacher, come together, and this like how we all like just become that, like that different, that global brain, or like that
Yeah.
stronger. I don't know how you describe it, but
It's
yeah.
and it shows you like how that this is here to stay. That so many people are actually willing to stay up and like disrupt their like daily life. Because like my girlfriend like can tell to anybody listening, like my sleep schedule like has been fucked ever since I joined the space, and just like I don't function normally anymore because everything I think of is NFTs. Like I'm talking to people, my brain in the background is like, all right, NFTs. It's like, and so when if you see that happening in a space, it's just to me, it's like a very big indicator that these people are like working on developing something. Because like otherwise, why would we sacrifice the time
Yeah.
and the sleep? You know, and also like the ether
Yeah, I
fees.
mean,
Because like,
oh, another thing that's cool, like just back to the, I haven't done it myself, but now Rarible has lazy minting,
oh, wait,
which
Rarible
is
has
new.
lazy mint. Because I left Rarible back
Yeah.
when like ether. Well, like I left Rarible when like $40 minting was out of my personal budget, and I just haven't gone back to it. But Rarible has lazy minting now, for real?
Yep. And I haven't used it yet. I want to use it, but yeah, for the artists too, because we were talking back to accessibility, and like that's like, I mean, when I rented, I messed up so many things. I lost things. I had to burn things. I seriously spent like
Yeah,
$500
it's
easily, like way more than that. And that's just like, that's too much money,
yeah.
like and so the lazy minting, the next one I'm gonna do, like I'm like, yeah, it's
That's
so yes, that's a good thing, right?
that's yeah. Well, that's
I'm very
absolutely.
happy about that.
So that's actually really good that you mentioned that, because to those listening, if you had worried about minting fees for uh, the competition, you can lazy mint. There you go. So, and to those listening, lazy minting is essentially you don't pay gas fees. It's essentially like sort of tied to your account and to your wallet, but it's not fully put into the blockchain until somebody buys it, and that's when they pay the gas fee to mint it, and it's just like a one gas fee instead of two people paying the gas fee. Um, and then I guess we'll get an option to freeze metadata in the future. But yeah, that's actually very cool. Cause I moved to
Yeah.
OpenSea because OpenSea had lazy minting, and that's why.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's actually cool. I
Yeah,
did
and
not
that
know.
for me was important because it's like, because you want to do this contest, and then you don't want to make artists like
Exactly.
submit a piece, and then it's like, yeah. So that's huge. And then, yeah, anyway, sorry.
No, no,
Just
it's
I thought I mentioned it before I forget,
no, it's
because I just think that's so awesome that's the case.
it's. Hell, I actually did not know this. Now my own brain is like, okay, now I gotta go back to Rarible. Fuck. It's like, especially now, right? Because it's like, if, to those listening, if it was so easy to get verified a year ago in Rarible, now, like, when I stumble on the Rarible Discord, it's like people asking about verification every once in a while. Like, I haven't been verified in 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, cool. So, like, if you got the verification badge, mint on Rarible now. Minting is
And
free.
also they've been working heavily to get verification streamlined. Now it's way faster. They onboarded a bunch of people and helping with that, so that process
That's
is like 10 times faster
that's
now.
good.
So yeah, because if you go on the discussion forum, that was for a while the biggest issue.
Oh,
Like, I haven't gotten verified. It's been like 3 weeks. It's been two
it's
months.
I
So it took me about 2.5 months to get
it's
verified too.
when I remembered at some point they had their verification process through Discord channel, where you had to
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, no, like back in September of last year, it was essentially like you entered this little Discord channel. Hi, my name is Anubis3100. Here are my socials. Please, I would like to get verified,
Oh my god.
and they would have been like, you must, and then like some mod would be like, do you have at least 3 NFTs minted? And that
And
was
it's
like
like, wait a minute. Yeah.
and that was out. And then at some point, like they had to introduce some form because it was like the big boom of NFTs. And then that chat was just like, hey, you couldn't get to the bottom of it because it would just every second would somebody be like, I need to get verified, and then
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been like just even like, yes, 4.5, 5. I need to figure out exactly the day. Now I want to go back and see, when did I get my MetaMask? When did I
Yeah,
actually figure out how to actually do that? That was a learning curve. I mean, everything's a learning curve. It
yeah.
was Yeah, and it's like I know technology, and this shit is driving me nuts. Like,
It's
what the
yeah,
hell
no,
is this?
like I try to like half of crypto still confuses the living fuck out of me, but then I try to be I tried to do my own research into
Mm-hmm.
what is it, dynamic NFTs, and
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, never mind. I tried to I literally went on like this like 2 hour video, and I was like, is this the one? And this guy essentially like 2 hours like on how to generate your own like pixelated PFP project, and I was like, that's
That
not
sounds
it.
so fast. It's so cool though. The generative art and AI art is so trippy. Like I so want to just like I don't know. That's a whole
It's
nother rabbit hole though.
it is. It's like it's the biggest rabbit hole that like painters freak out when they hear about the whole AI painting stuff, and my brain just gets so excited, right? Because it's like all
Yeah,
these generative works are giving us source material that we have never thought
exactly.
of
It's a
before,
layer. It's another layer,
right?
right?
It's
It's
just
just a
like
layer of cool shit. It's just like another tool in your toolbox. It's another pastel color.
exactly
Let's
that's
bring this shit in and play. So yeah.
and it's like I started doing like random studies of like I'll get his name off of Twitter. Mario Klingman. He does like some really nice AI stuff where it's like it's word prompted AI generated
Oh, that's so
works.
cool. Isn't that awesome?
It's like wild. And like the
Wow.
coolest thing is like the weirdest thing is like the AI takes everything so literally that it's hilarious. So it can't detect like thematic moods or something. So if like say you're like, you're depicting a theme of clowns, but you want it to feel scary, it will take your words literally. It won't like pick up on the nuances of like themes and stuff or like
Oh, that's
feelings.
awesome.
But I started doing like pencil studies of like some of the figures, like the human figures that he was getting in his works, and I was like, holy shit, like, whoa, this is a whole new experiment of form. Like we're getting like, because you know to those listening, like a drawing teacher will be like, you got to study your forms to draw, right? And then how many times can you study an arm before you get bored of an arm? And then how many times can you stylistically draw an arm before you get bored of drawing the arm? And then here comes this thing where it's an arm with like 10 fingers that's like blobby as hell,
Mm.
but it doesn't look concept art. It looks like completely original, and I was like, oh shit. And so, like you say, like it's just another layer, like another toolbox, or no, another tool in the toolbox. You know,
And yeah, and you're interacting with this like burgeoning life form, this brain.
it's true.
Think about it. It's another
It's
kind of
true.
like this alien being that like eventually will be like, yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother.
Oh, now I'm actually scared. Fuck.
No, but it's just it's I mean, yeah, it's just back to the whole idea of fractals. Like we're just another component. And if you I mean, I always love looking at like if you look at viruses, they're kind of like these like weird tiny like machines and that's
They
what
are.
we're building, you know? So
Yeah.
like it's just I think it's just everything that's created creates, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, back to that talk. That could be
Well,
another.
actually, funny enough, have you ever heard of the Gaia theory?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I had one of my um, drawing professors bring the theory into drawing class, and it also essentially changed my whole worldview on just humanity in general. Because at some point, it's like in the same sense of like recognizing like a tool in the toolbox, right? Like, and fractals, and we're using alts. We're reusing the old, right? Artists and humans in general like to separate themselves from nature and from the world and everything else, right? Because we're human, you know. And that in that class, like it clicked in my head that I was like, hold on, no. If if you become aware of your position in the cycle, it's up to you to upkeep the cycle and evolve the cycle, not separate yourself from the cycle, you know?
Well, if you separate, then you become a virus, and then it becomes cancer, and then humanity is like a cancer. If you
Well,
look at how we're growing in cities,
right?
we
And
become like these cancerous growth patterns. It's like, no, we have to learn to self-control, right?
perfectly
It's
said.
hard, but
You know, it's
but yeah.
we're So to the viewers, we're 1 hour and 18 minutes in, and now we've entered philosophy and science.
I'm sure this is what happens on every call we do.
Yeah, I think this is actually great. I
It's
because
been a lot of fun.
and like to those listening, like this is I'm legitimately now I'm far more excited, not just about the competition and the work that you guys are going to get for the competition, but also like the future of the creator collective, because there's not a lot of people who are focusing on this, on like, or who have even brought up some of the like the topics that you've brought up, and so that's actually very exciting. It's good to know that the space is evolving towards the right direction, because
Oh, and you'll love Mark. Mark is like way more articulate. I was like, I don't want to go alone because he's really good at like, yeah, he's been in the space a lot longer, so he knows how to say interoperability much
okay, all
better.
right.
But he's awesome. Like when I connected with him, I was like, I was every day. I'm like, I'm so stoked to work with you. It's just like because, yeah, he has that vision and understanding of it's just and again, the Creator Collective is an experiment, and I think all of us are here experimenting, and like we are definitely open to everyone's ideas, suggestions, projects. Like I think it would be great. I mean, this aside note, like Metakey artists, all of us create some kind of cool collaborative project. But
that
that'd be
would
fun.
that would be cool. I mean, if you have like an idea, like pitch it to like, I'm down for any artistic idea that
Or you
anybody
could be
wants.
you could be the fearless leader, and we all contribute to your
Oh,
crazy vision.
well, I've thought about this. I personally have thought about like ways of like artistically rewarding like the Metakey community with art. Um, but it's also would be cool to like, especially since history is also a very big factor, right? And like
Mm.
like the collectives that establish themselves now, right? They'll have history, right? Like that's another reason why, to those listening, you should participate in the competition, because if you win, that is a legitimate thing that you have in your artistic like resume, like you won an artistic competition, and
And it's
it's
our first ever, really. The first, yeah, it is, and yeah,
and it's
so
like,
that makes it even cooler.
exactly, and yeah, literally, and it gets, and like, right, like this is not like apply to a show. No, this is a competition. There are two different things, and so you get to also say you participated in one. Like, I think you might be right. The first NFT art competition um created in the NFT space. You
Well,
know.
no, I guess I don't know if that's
Well, I
true,
don't
but
know.
it's at least for Creator Collective.
Well,
That's
at
all
least,
I'm
well,
saying.
okay,
It's for Creator Collective, or like the one before it was like a theme and everyone submitted
okay,
ideas, but this is like we just thought that was cool. So it's like it would be so awesome if we got money that we could actually give artists money to show our support for like them being so badass. And like I wish I could give everybody money.
so,
Like I wish I could be like, here, go make some art. Like that would be a dream. But like it's also really fun to like pick a theme, like ours is digital creatures of the metaverse, and just see the iterations and versions of that the community creates. It's so fun to be a part of. Even if you don't win, it doesn't matter, because you get to learn from each other, you get to play, you get to push yourself. I don't know,
yeah,
that's kind of
it's
our
that,
vision and our hope.
and also, if you don't get to win, that doesn't mean that your name has not been put out there in the pool of artists to
Oh
be
yeah.
called upon in the future. Like,
Oh, and I do that, and exactly, and also I try to, in Instagram, the last one, I had about 100. We had about 140 artists submit, and I try
oh
to put
wow,
everybody's stuff up there, but it was really hard. But like we really try to, showcase everybody, or at least have some kind of place where everybody can like support each other. And Twitter went off. We were
yeah,
sharing, retweeting everyone's
mhm,
stuff, so it's just fun, just to be a part of something like that. I think I enjoy it. So hopefully
I,
everybody else will.
I think, I think it's gonna be cool. I actually look forward to it. And yeah, I do. And to those listening, again, I'm a judge, which I'm excited for. I get to
Yes, I'm so happy.
put my art critique skills to use again. This is gonna be great. Um,
We get to learn from you. I'm usually like, it's so funny. Like just each person's, understanding or interpretation or reaction to a piece,
yeah,
right? I'm sure that's why you love this, right?
it's like, it's absolutely, it's like, and it's like, that's one of the things I miss about the as much as I like shit on the fine art world. Like, one of the things, at least, that I missed in like, in terms of like to university teaching, is like the whole critique aspect of it, where you as a class got together and critiqued each other's work and like talked about it, because in like the same sense where it's like art is subjective, but it aids every artist, to like hear what 20 other people view their art as, because then you get to pick up on what's successful, what's not, what's right, what's readable, what's not, you know. And it also teaches you like, oh, this theme is being read as it is by this many people. I don't need to touch it. I don't need to mess with it. You know, it's like a very informative experience as well. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and like I mean, one thing I noticed in all the years of teaching, it's hard to like, like sometimes like put a theme, but it's also like by doing that, you're kind of like actually opens up creativity.
yeah.
Sometimes if you're like create whatever the hell you want, then you're just sit there. But if you create those like parameters, it actually is really, really like it generates all this crazy energy. At least my view on artists and
I,
people that I
I
don't
no, I agree. I agree because my professor explained it in the same way. He was like, I don't want you guys just sitting. Like, I understand that you guys want to paint what you want to paint on, but it's like these parameters and like these limitations also push you to like what is it? Explore your work in other elements, right?
yeah.
And
Yep. And I was not like that in I took like one printmaking class in college, and I was like, I don't want to do anything you tell me. I want to create my really flat art. And he was like, you might want to expand on it. And I would look at him like, no. And now I'm like, he was so smart. I should
I
listen to the wise man.
I got the opposite. I got, yo, Anubis, you can't say that. You can't do that. I was like, why? Why can't I? And then it was, yeah, it was like, it's actually funny because like we've had somewhat completely opposite experiences. Because like I'm the dude that was like actively like, I thrived on like stirring pots in like the middle of our university like sitting room common area, just like the most heated political artistic debates you can have, and I would just like thrive in them. And my
They're like, is
professor
Anubis sick today? I hope he's sick today.
and my professor was like, dude, like, I remember one time, like, he at one point he came up to me, he's like, bro, like, yo, Anubis, you do realize you're not gonna get a girlfriend? And I was like, he didn't know that I had a girlfriend at the time, because I was just angering everybody in my class, and I was like, bro, come on, I don't care. And he was just looking at me, he's like, no, you're gonna be lonely, and I'm like, I don't care.
No, I've always had like even my boyfriend. He's very outspoken and very, he's to the point that like it's unemotional, but it's also like that. I love the honesty, and that's key. Like, and I've always been friends with people like that, and it's like I just admire it. It's like you're a badass. I want to be like that. It's like it's a special kind of power, I think, to be able to really say what you're really thinking.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not easy too.
no, it's especially like, oh, like some of my experiences in class, it's like it makes you aware of like how also like group mentality like sort of functions too, because like you start to question yourself, like, do I say that, do I not say it? It's actually interesting to sort of experience that. um but yeah.
And it goes back to another quick little side thing. Well, not side thing, but another thing I'm hoping to do is like reaching out to different communities and like
Mhm.
women artists, especially like getting more women artists participating and more people from not just like the same people. Like I really want, not that I don't want the same people, of course, but like I want to like make, and it's hard. Like, how do you reach all these communities that tend to
it's
keep to themselves, like
it's
that's
true.
the mission of mine, to just reach out to everybody. And yeah, I don't, just
It's
hopefully, you know,
it's
they'll see value.
it's actually true, because like, and it's a good question to have, because like, recently we found out that one of the female PFP projects was actually run by three dudes, right? And then
Not
people were
surprised.
people were shocked in the space. But to me it's like, I noticed it because I was like, okay, like, obviously, like, I don't know about the people listening, but personally I can tell when somebody's pandering and they're not obviously actually caring about the message they're trying to use. And if it's a 10k PFP project that pops out of nowhere that sort of utilizes like minorities, I looked at it and I was like, nine, or like certain groups, right? Like, I looked at it, I was like, you're probably not actually supportive. And then we got the news of, you know, that female project, actually, for Fame Lady Squad, I think was the name.
Yeah, I
Three,
saw that recently. I was wondering about that, and I didn't know the story behind it. And I was looking at it, going like, that kind of has the feeling that it's made by dudes. But in
yeah.
a way, you know what I see? In a way, it's kind of a beautiful piece to bring up the conversation
Oh yeah.
around the need to include more women, right?
Exactly.
Like, and so like, yeah, I'm also part of like I just started doing a little bit of stuff with Women of Crypto Art. They're an amazing group. I don't know if you know of
I
them.
have not heard. Is this like, is this like a Discord or a Twitter
Yeah,
account?
and they have a bunch of different things, but I've just started. They're doing so many amazing projects. You know, I've just started in there, and I haven't done too much, but it's just a lot of their mission is to, you know, just uh, addressing issues like that. But they've done so many cool projects, and I mean, again, for me, it's like just you have to engage and create to really make a difference, no matter what. And it's like to me, again, like that reality is like, okay, now that's a beautiful talking point. Like, okay, or
What?
like even for our Earth Day NFT, we got a lot of like on Twitter, people were like, "Oh, that's ironic because of carbon," but I did carbon offsetting, and like it brought up the issue, and part of me was like, "Well, this is actually perfect because it's bringing up the reality of the need
Yeah,
for this community to become greener." And it's like, even if it's like if it's negative, that negative can be a positive real quick. It's two sides of the same coin. It's like you got to work with both. You know,
I
yeah,
agree. It's and
you can't
also
have the positive without the negative.
yes, and also we have volcano Bitcoin mining, so we don't need. I don't know. I was gonna make a joke, but then I realized, hold on, does volcano Bitcoin mining that still probably produces greenhouse gases and emissions and stuff? Just
But
because.
it's funny because one of my friends, she works in a lot of like different environmental projects, and she's like, it's usually like, you know, when people start, you know, like focusing on a certain industry and their practices, it's just like it's every industry,
Yeah.
not just this industry. And that's what, and she's all about, you know, promoting green. And she's always like, you know, when somebody, because she was interested in NFT space, and then
Mm,
her board of the, you know, everybody in that organization was like, "Oh, it's not green." I'm like, you know, that conference you did and everybody flying here,
it's
what
not.
talk about every single thing they did to get here. Like, you can't just isolate and focus on one thing. You have to look at the bigger picture and be like, how
Yeah.
can we all help? I don't
Well,
know. Like, it's not easy.
it was that, and it was like, to me, it was like I was sitting there. I was like we can't complain about like how green NFTs are using like Twitter, which utilizes servers, like insane amount of servers, right, just to run, or like just YouTube alone, right? Like, to those listening, like, for a website like YouTube or Twitter to host the amount of content it actually
I
gets
know.
second by
I know.
second, the amount of
It's
energy,
crazy.
it's insane. Like, I don't even think like it touches the amount of energy usage crypto has, like, just compared to like social media alone. And so it's just like that's, yeah, it's good that you also bring that up, because like, to those listening, NFTs will not burn down the environment. I guarantee you, we as humans will do that with our hands before NFTs do that. It's
But I think it's important to like know of like, it's funny because I
Yeah.
think it was Offsetera, or I forget the one we worked with. I should know
Uh,
this, but yeah, it was really easy. It was like $5 and it offset like my NFT creation, because I my goal was like, okay, what can I do? And it cost, I think it was even less than that. And it's like it's an easy to like, oh, if you're really wanting to do, you can do little things that will make a big difference. If like a
mhm.
million people each did $5, imagine they have $5 million to do certain projects. Is Yeah, there's I think, wait, hold on. I really got to look up who it is because they were really cool and really helpful. But anyway, I can put that in the notes or whatever later when I find it. But there are people in the NFT space doing that particular, you know, focusing on that, which is great.
And it's also like, we've had platforms like Nunk that are fully built on sort of being, or like offsetting emissions, right? Like, the whole reason Nunk is on Tezos is because Tezos is like a far greener blockchain than Ethereum, and we sort of got the benefits of faster, like, really cheap gas fees. But the main reason, I remember when Nunk first launched, everybody moved to it because it was like the green NFT marketplace, you know. And so it's not. It's also like the if our marketplaces and our minting facilities are like sort of evolving to become just green inherently, you know. And so I think, like, who knows, maybe in the future you won't even have to pay like an offset fee, because like everything is sort of being minted on a green blockchain.
Yep, I found the person right here. It is Offsetera. I was
Uh,
working with Alex. He was one of the co-founders of Offsetera, the Carbon.fyi project, and they're based out of the UK. But yeah, it's cool because on their site, like Carbon.fyi, I think that's the site. Yeah, it shows you what project it's going to be for, what they're working on, and that's just nice to. Is it? Yeah, that's here. It's still here.
oh, well, hold
You
on.
can enter your MetaMask address,
I
and
can.
it's all right there.
It takes
Yep.
ENS domains too. Hold on. I'm gonna search my
Yeah.
my carbon footprint. Oh boy. Oh lord. What? Oh wow. I am responsible for 6,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions. Damn.
But then you can go to offset and see how you can offset it, and it cost me not that much. And you could see all the projects they have, and like, yeah. So it's another,
Oh
I don't know.
wow. Yeah, that's cool as hell.
And there's other ones too that are doing similar things that are, I mean, and that's another rabbit hole, but like really, really important one. And I mean, and that's the kind of thing that whenever you do projects, like, you know, like you're saying, those guys that did the women project and it's just dudes, it's like, well, maybe next time have a female, like maybe you'll make a project better. And it's like it's not just like, you know, because you should, it's also because it's a positive thing and it will
Yeah,
actually be better for all of you. I think everyone just kind of trying to be too PC makes it like,
I
no,
agree.
you do it because it's actually good. Like
Yeah.
it's actually I don't know how to, I don't,
No, it's I
at
agree.
this point my brain's just like mush.
No, it's like I agree because it's like you know, it's not like there isn't any good female artists out there for somebody to like sort of fake it, right? You just have to look to find them, you know, just like you have to look to find the good male artists, right?
Yeah,
And it's
it's
just
the
like
same for both ways. It's like
exactly. You
just
just
supporting creativity and reaching different types of communities, you know,
exactly.
male, female. I like is great. And helping the environment and realizing, like you said, oh, I checked my footprint. I didn't know, and how easy they make it, right?
That's
It's like,
that's actually cool too. But now I feel like I need to go like plant a bunch of trees.
or you can donate money to them, or you can give money to them and they'll do it, you know? Like,
uh,
or like if you look at, you know, Mr. Beast, how he planted, what was
that
it,
was
like a
yeah.
crazy amount of trees?
That was actually a
That's
cool project. That when I
that's
saw that, I was like,
awesome.
yeah, that was like I was like, damn, Mr. Beast planting trees out here.
I know, he's just the shit. He's so creative. I mean,
Um, it's it's actually funny enough. Um, we'll end it on here. We'll end it on this quote, but it was a YouTube video that I saw where somebody said this quote, and it was like he was like this quote is or like hold on. It goes the quote is supposed to symbolize a great society or like a flourishing society, right? And it goes as I'm probably butchering the whole thing because it was like a year ago that I watched it, but it goes societies succeeded or societies great when old men plant trees they'll never sit in their shade or something
oh
like
yeah,
that, right? And it's like it just goes off to the point that it's like if you have a society that's essentially caring about stuff for the future generations and something that they
oh
will
yeah,
never experience whatsoever, you know
yeah,
then you're sort of like have a somewhat successful society, and to me like
yeah.
it's cool because it's like we've NFTs are going to be successful because we're not avoiding the environment problem, we're actually tackling it head on,
Mhm.
and trying to fix it. And so that's yeah that's those are my 2 cents.
No, I agree 100%. And I'll stop talking so we don't go down any more rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And then everybody, please enter because I would love to see the community here participate, and it's gonna be fun. And again, Anubis is our awesome first guest judge too. So you have
I am
that mark
honored.
too.
It is an honor, and yes, to those listening, go apply to this competition. Who knows? You might win. We have another meeting on Monday, which I
Yes.
believe Mark will be there. Mark,
Yes, yes, he will.
and
Mark.
so uh, if if I'll come up with like more questions about the DAO and all that, since we
Yeah,
talked
he'll be
about the
very
art.
good at that.
Yeah. Um,
Did we talk about it? Any of the no? Well, I hope, yeah. If I were editing this, I'd probably delete half of what I said, but it's okay.
so one thing about these are unedited.
Yeah, no, it's great. I like that about it, you know. But please excuse me for my ignorance, but I'm learning, and hopefully we'll be better
Yeah,
at articulating what our plans are. But again, it's for the community, and we're stoked to be here.
yeah,
So,
and it's great. It's like it's great that you guys are doing this. Rarible has already retweeted you guys, so Rarible is like the team, the coders. They already support this, and I think this is a cool way to bring like more artists back into Rarible. Also, you got the lazy minting, y'all, so you don't have to pay minting fees to be part of this competition. Um, you can just mint
Yeah, you
it,
don't have to pay anything to enter other than your, your
like,
computer and all the
and the
all
art
your time.
supplies, yeah, and the art supplies that were used. um, but yeah, Fractilians, thank you for coming on. This was fucking awesome. Um,
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for
we
having me on. I was stoked when you asked. I was like, awesome. And
it's
again, the Metakey community, I love everything DCL blog, everybody doing on there, and
it's
all the content. So appreciate it, and I feel so stoked to be. I don't have the first one. I'm not a keymaster, but one day
yeah, no,
I will be a keymaster.
I don't have, so to those listening, like, it's weird because like I'm doing all this stuff for Metakey, but I don't have a key. Like they brought me on like to do all these projects, and then at some point I tried to I part of me was like, okay, given how slow the second one sold, I thought I had a chance for the third drop, and that shit
That
sold out
went
in 12
fast.
minutes or
I
like
I know I had
13.
to buy it like I know I had to buy it really, and I don't have that kind of money, but I really love what Metakey's doing.
Yeah,
So it's like
it's
I have the second and third, but like yeah, I bought the second one at the regular, and then yeah, the third one was so beautiful. I was like, I'm in love with that
yeah,
piece.
the Marcomatic one is and it's like I got to see it earlier too, and I was like, oh, I can't tell anybody about it,
Oh,
but it's cool as hell. But
and you got to interview him, you
yeah,
lucky
it's
ducky.
it's it's his Marcomatic's art is fucking insane. It actually blew my mind. But thank you again for coming. This was awesome.
Thank you.
If I ever like think of any like podcast ideas that are unrelated to artist talks, um, I might actually message you as a guest again because, you know,
Oh, hell yeah. Oh,
it's
you're gonna love Mark too. Like he's just, yeah, he's great. So
yeah,
I'm excited we get to do this again with you. And
it
yeah, I love helping, and anybody, they have crazy ideas, I'm all about helping.
and also to those listening, you can tag and talk to Fractilians on the
Oh,
Discord channel,
please.
in the
Yeah,
Metakey
DM me.
Discord. So
Yes,
they
for
are
sure.
reachable, and Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm a Fractilian7 on Twitter, and then
Okay.
you can DM me on yeah, any questions, and on our Discord, Creator Collective, we have a Discord as well. You can join there, and we're definitely like trying to build that up. So if anybody has ideas, or please come, like you, Anubis, like we're just it's so new, it really is, and
Mhm.
it's just like, and it's for the community. So like this campaign, when it's over, we'll see what crazy other project we come up with. And that's the fun part, to be able to do that is really cool.
I'm excited. Oh, I'm excited. I put to those listening, links for the Creator Collective Twitter are down. When I'm uploading this, I'll get the Discord link and I'll put it in the description as well. And also
Yes.
I'll put your Twitter, your Fractilian's Twitter, in the description as well.
Yeah, and
So
then there's the Creator Collective one too.
yeah, and
Awesome.
so all the links will be there. And yeah, to those listening, thank you for listening, and I will see you in our next video or stream. Have a good
Awesome.
one.
You too. Thank you.